Pakistan is already fulfilling the conditions by IMF. There is prudent economic reforms. What else IMF demanded to Pakistan?
Pakistan and India, they are still negotiating. We are subject to this Indian water aggression. And this is again something which can impact Pakistan's numbers, figures, and of course the budgetary allocation. These are some of the broader contours in which this next budget is being, the framework is being prepared. And
why India has come to that practice? If the Indus Water Treaty, it has already blocked. Diplomatic staff, it has already reduced. Borders, it has already crossed. Specific concern is it lied before IMF against Pakistan, but it failed.
4 days of war that has demonstrated very clearly that Pakistan's defense preparation is second to none. India was unsuccessful in blocking Pakistan's IMF tranche. India's attempts to stagnate Pakistan's economy would be infutile.
Threats from India are continuing. Keeping in view, please share with us how much increase in Pakistan's defense budget is expected.
Last year, India's defense budget was somewhere in the range of $78 to $80 billion. And Pakistan's defense budget was in the range of $6.5 to $7 billion. So as I said, that we are facing an aggression where the defense budget is 10 times higher than Pakistan's defense budget.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, when we talk of Pakistan's economy, recently we have witnessed International Monetary Fund high-level delegation visited Islamabad. And during almost a week-long stay in Islamabad, IMF delegation held meetings with Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, also held formal talks in the Finance Ministry with Finance Minister M. Aurangzeb, and then continued their consultations with senior officials at Ministry of Finance. So in today's conversation, we would like to know that whether IMF is satisfied with Pakistan's current economic outlook. Has IMF any concerns with Pakistan's economy, that certain areas which need to be improved, and what specific demands are from IMF to Pakistani economic managers as far as Pakistan's economic outlook is concerned. And we will also discuss economic reforms, growth, recent India-Pakistan conflict. Has that conflict had any impact on Pakistan's economic development, growth, or this upcoming budget? And in addition to this, we will briefly discuss the preparations for upcoming budget and what upcoming budget offers to the common man of Pakistan. To discuss this all, we are fortunate to have with us a senior economist, Executive Director of Sustainable Development Policy Institute, Dr. Abid Qaiyum Suleri Sahab. Dr. Suleri Sahab, very warm welcome to Program Insight in V News English. I would like to seek your opinion that recently, just last week, IMF delegation concluded its visit to Islamabad. And whatever is the initial information, that delegation expressed satisfaction over talks with Pakistani authorities. And as a result of the talks between IMF and Pakistani authorities, the federal budget, which was supposed to be presented in the first week of June, now it will be presented in the second week of June. So my immediate question is, what was the purpose of these talks? Pakistan is already fulfilling the conditions by IMF. There is prudent economic reforms, economic measures, austerity, and these all things Pakistan is strictly implementing. What else IMF demanded to Pakistan? Dr. Suleri sir.
Well, obviously, the first thing is it is a routine mission visit, and whenever any country is in IMF program, the mission does visit and try to assess the progress. But this time, Pakistan's position is quite unique because this is for the first time that Pakistan is under two parallel IMF programs. the Extended Fund Facility Program, which is a regular program, and then Resilient Sustainability Fund, which is for climate change. We had been in this position during COVID, but that was very peculiar and particular to pandemic and that time. When we got assistance from Resilient Sustainability Fund, there was no conditions attached to it. This time, of course, for the regular program as well as for climate change, Pakistan has made certain commitments, and IMF would like to ensure that those commitments, they don't contradict each other, and those commitments, because they require balancing act. So the budget for the next fiscal year, it contains some of the implementing measures which are there. The third aspect, which is again quite unique, that while preparing the budget for the next fiscal year, we are virtually in a state of war. There is a ceasefire, and of course, Pakistan and India, they are still negotiating. We are subject to this Indian water aggression, and this is again something which can impact Pakistan's numbers, figures, and of course the budgetary allocation. And Pakistan has a legitimate reason to, of course, increase its defense budgetary spending amidst this situation of emergency or situation of war. And these are some of the broader contours in which this next budget is being, the framework is being prepared. And of course, on all these three, it was quite important to get IMF's nod of consensus, and that's why IMF team was here, and they had very productive discussions with authorities so far.
Dr. Suleri Saab, since you mentioned that India is carrying out aggression, of course, by blocking Pakistan's water, it is an aggression. If we recall, after 22nd of April, after Pahalgam incident, when tension was all-time high between Pakistan and India, India also tried to block Pakistan's program with IMF. So India was working on multiple fronts against Pakistan, but IMF, instead of listening to India, IMF listened to Pakistan, and fortunately, Pakistan's programs were approved. That is in your knowledge. Your thoughts, why India has come to that tactics? The Indus Water Treaty, it has already blocked. Diplomatic staff, it has already reduced. Borders, it has already closed. Visa for Pakistani citizens, visitors, genuine who wanted to visit India for medical purpose and things like that. So specifically on economic front, it lied before IMF. Specific concern is it lied before IMF against Pakistan, but it failed. Your views?
Well, of course, the 4 days of war that has demonstrated very clearly that Pakistan's defense preparation is second to none. And of course, when both the nuclear powers, which had almost equal number of nuclear warheads, if Pakistan can prove that despite the fact that India has 10 times higher defense budget than Pakistan's budget, and Pakistan, even in conventional warfare, maintained its superiority, then India had to rely on certain non-conventional warfare measures. And nowadays, economic is a very proven warfare measure. And that's where India tried to convince IMF that Pakistan's tranche should not be released. And it was, I would say, Pakistan's very solid compliance on the program so far, that India was unsuccessful in blocking Pakistan's IMF tranche. India is also trying to now maneuver FATF so that Pakistan can be placed in as yet another grey list. But I'm quite confident that the measures Pakistan took last time to graduate from grey list to white list, those have actually documented Pakistan's economy very well. And Pakistan has taken all measures in its capacity to stop any loopholes which can support terror financing, or which can help in money laundering. So I would say that while India is trying to do this economic aggression as well, Pakistan is well prepared, and Pakistan is trying to play its card very smartly. by implementing IMF program and, of course, by implementing the efforts to document its economy. So I'm very optimistic that India's attempts to stagnate Pakistan's economy would be infutile.
Dr. Since you're economist on diplomatic front and military front, we have very closely monitored India continued its provocations against Pakistan, as we mentioned already. The putting in abeyance Indus Water Treaty, specifically as you talked about Financial Action Task Force, that India is trying to put Pakistan again into the grey list. But on the other hand, as you are well aware, India itself is supposed to be in the grey list because of its track record of money laundering, financing terrorists. Pakistan last week has also released a dossier as well. In the dossier, these all things have been clearly mentioned. So some of the terrorist organizations based in Afghanistan, these terrorist organizations are training, funding, and providing material support to BLA and many other terror outfits which are creating disturbance in Balochistan. So what do you think our diplomats, our foreign ministry, and our relevant institution, don't you think it's the best opportunity to present our narrative against India, that India is involved in money laundering, financing terrorists, transnational terrorism, and things like that? So there should be proactive diplomacy.
Not only this, but if I can add the smuggling of uranium.
Exactly, that is.
From India.
Instead, actually, India accused Pakistan that Pakistan's nuke should be placed before IAEA, and Pakistan gave a befitting response on that. And yes, made it clear last week that it is actually India who should be, particularly these nuclear material and things like that have been openly for sale, and IAEA should take notice of that. Your thoughts?
And then assassination in Canada, and then
exactly.
attempted assassination in United States. So the list is quite long.
Exactly, list is quite long.
Yeah. So of course, Pakistan is trying to present our stance to international community. The delegation, which is comprising of very senior both
parliamentarians,
state persons and parliamentarians. Exactly. I think they're quite intelligent people. I think India so far has been able to utilize its 1.5 billion consumer power very smartly, and rather exploiting 1.5 billion consumer power very smartly. Pakistan, of course, at time was placed with FPAC, Afghanistan and Pakistan, but things they have changed, and now one can see that the whole geopolitical shift, where again it's India-Pakistan policy. It's not India Indo-Pacific and Afghanistan Pakistan and Quad, which was purely a security alliance of Japan, Australia, US and India, didn't interfere in Pakistan-India
conflict. Exactly.
Even the Shanghai this cooperation organization that didn't interfere negative in this warlike situation. So I think that gradually the Modi's jingoism is being now being manifested very clearly, and it is being exposed to international community. So I hope that some of the negative tactics that India would be using against Pakistan, either economically or on other fronts, would not drastically or negatively affect Pakistan.
Share with us, with our international viewers, that in addition to suffering huge defense losses, almost 6 fighter jets and number of Indian military brigades along with the line of control were completely smashed. Some of the airfields and air bases, including Pathankot, were successfully hit by Pakistan. And these all attacks by Pakistan were in retaliation to earlier Indian attacks. So since you're an economist, we would like to know that why Modi didn't realize that going for war with Pakistan, going for conflict with Pakistan will cost India economically very high. Their stock market crashed. They have suffered almost more than 40 billion US dollars overall losses. So, how specifically was economic loss to India?
They must have underestimated Pakistan's conventional superiority and Pakistan's conventional preparedness, which Pakistan, with the help of China and Chinese technology, proved that Pakistan is second to none. Now, India, which is an economic giant
Power.
and
Exactly.
power, and trying to gain a seat in United Nations Security Council, I think is actually having for domestic political gains is following a very short-sighted approach. Now, the international investment coming to India, the international tourists coming to India, the India's ambition to hold mega events, even Olympics and others, those are actually negatively affected by this, what I would say, uncalculated unilateral move of India. India perhaps was thinking that it would be a very short, sweet victory. They would be throwing a couple of missiles and they would be able to claim victory. But then our Air Force and our defense forces, their befitting response, perhaps India was not ready for it. And now even Congress and many sane voices in India, they are actually holding the BJP government accountable and asking for their level of preparedness, both before Pelgam and after this incident, the blatant attack on Pakistan's sovereignty.
True. Now, coming specifically, as you mentioned briefly in your conversation, that increase in Pakistan's defense budget likely, of course, we are fighting on two fronts, Dr. Suleri sir. One, fight against terrorism on the western borders in Balochistan, Fitna al-Hindustan, and Fitna al-Khawarij in KP. And on the eastern border, of course, Pakistan cannot remain ignorant about continuous threat. As you also said that although ceasefire is there, but threats from India are continuing. Keeping in view, please share with us how much increase in Pakistan's defense budget is expected and how much increase could be given by our economic managers.
Is it right now, as we said, that we are in an state of emergency and we are in a ceasefire, which is a very fragile ceasefire. Pakistan has to prepare on two counts. One is getting ready for India's water aggression, for which, of course, the water reservoirs and small dams and water conservation, those are very important. And fortunately, many of these things, they are already part of Resilience Sustainability Fund that Pakistan has secured from IMF. On the other hand, Pakistan needs to equip itself with the modern technology, the warfare technology. And we should remember that the defense budgets every year, those were in the normal business as usual. The normal deployment of troops and pays and other war expenditures. This procurement of hardcore equipment or J-10 or other, that was never been part of any defense budget. Now, rightly, we need to actually procure some of these hardwares, be those are some of the fighter jets or those are some of the air defense systems or air defense missiles, etc. And for all of them, Pakistan would have to very legitimately make spending. Just to give a comparison of India and Pakistan's defense budget to the viewers, last year India's defense budget was somewhere in the range of $78 to $80 billion. And Pakistan's defense budget was in the range of $6.5 to $7 billion. So as I said, that we are facing an aggression where the defense budget is 10 times higher than Pakistan's defense budget. So the gap is too huge. I'm not saying that Pakistan would be making that wild spending as India is spending, but of course Pakistan would have to increase its defense preparedness. So whatever Pakistan would be spending would be very legitimate increase in case of current situation.
That's correct. So coming back to this IMF program that you are continuously giving reference of that program and their conversation with Pakistani economic managers. I would just like to mention that number of times Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, every time said that this would be the last IMF program. This would be the last IMF program. So share with us that which program will be the last IMF program, because if we continue to make programs with IMF, if we continue to get loans from IMF, do you think our economy is that sustainable, that strong, that we can pay back all these loans? What will be the mechanism of paying back these all loans?
Mateen, technically speaking, the caretaker government's this standby agreement was the only program that Pakistan, even 2013, even 2013-17 program, it was completed with waiver. Waiver means that the commitment that a country makes and then is not able to fulfill, and then executive board waivers against those conditionalities. And we saw the benefit of completing the standby agreement. It was the extended fund facility program that the current government negotiated soon after coming in power without wasting any time, was a direct dividend of completing extended fund facility program. Now, if we continue, and I'm quite confident of Senator Aurangzeb's resolve and current government's resolve that this program would be completed without any waiver or without any major bottleneck. Pakistan would have to then go for at least another IMF program, because in 27-28, Pakistan's external required financing requirement, which means that the loan it had to repay would be somewhere in the range of $37 to $38 billion. So according to IMF estimate,
payable amount, to be corrected, payable amount.
So in the next, the gap, payable gap, after taking care of remittances and after taking care of export proceeds, the payable gap, whether it is for imports or whether it is for debt payment, it would be somewhere around $37 to $38 billion. In the next 2 years, it would remain between 19 to $20 billion. But then again, going back to $37 to $38 billion, that is a huge amount. So I'm quite confident that Pakistan would have to go for another IMF program after completing the current one. And if we, in a consecutively two programs, if they are completed successfully, the Pakistan's macroeconomic indicators and reserves and the current account balance would be in a fairly safer limit. So far, the experiment with IMF, they failed because every time a government went to IMF program, we were quite transactional. We were just withdrawing a couple of transactions, and then in order to please the voters, the governments, they had to actually take a U-turn and reverse all the reforms that the country was following in a IMF program, irrespective of the fact whoever was ruling the country. So this time, if we can complete it successfully, both of the program, the macroeconomic fundamentals, they would be quite strong. And then perhaps implementing the next program would give us a launching pad so that we can gradually then start relying on our own resources.
So, because Dr. Saab, whenever there is budget, so particularly our and your thinking is always different one, but the common man of Pakistan always thinks, hopes, and he has some optimism and hopes that what budget will give to the common man, keeping in view the conflict with India. But other economic indicators, as you said, and these indicators are on record, have been quite positive in last 1 year. Inflation was lowest, and current account deficit was not that alarming. There have been other economic indicators, record foreign remittances, record exports, IT exports, a number of things. Keeping in view these all positive indicators, what are the hopes that any economic relief could be given to the common man? Taxes could be lowered, prices could be brought down, electricity relief has already been given by the government, but despite that, we don't see the economic relief going to the common man.
Mateen, first thing first, there would be record allocation for Benazir Income Support Program, irrespective of the fact how much is required for all other expenditure. I'm assuming that it would be somewhere between 715 to 720 billion rupees, and the quarterly installments for beneficiaries would also be inflation adjusted, which means that there would be increase in quarterly installments as well. Second, OPEC has already decided to increase its output, which means that in the near term, the prices of crude would be
likely to go high.
Yeah, no, actually, because it would be OPEC would be increasing, so the prices would remain stable. Today's prices are around $64 to $65 per barrel, which are very healthy for Pakistan, because in Pakistan has a cushion to actually levy petroleum levy and carbon levy, and try to fetch some revenue from it without increasing the taxation. So if this trend in petroleum prices in the international market that sustains and remains, government of Pakistan would be able to fetch additional revenue through additional petroleum levy without putting any additional burden on consumers. So that is a positive sign. The third important sign here is that some of the untaxed sectors, they would be brought in tax net.
That's
no
very
matter
important point.
what, because this is one single point where IMF has been asserting, and if any infancy or starting taxes at retail sector or at agriculture sector or at real estate and carbon levy, those would pour in. That would again give some cushion for government to actually try to loosen the noose against the salaried class. So some of these things, I think those would help, and that would mean that the current next budget perhaps would not be as difficult as the outgoing year's budget is. So even if there is no direct relief, there would be not very drastic measures for which we are now sort of accustomed to or used to, that whenever there will be a budget, it would bring more hardships to.
As you said, exactly as you said, there may not be drastic measures. It may not be tough as we are anticipating. What is your rare estimate? Will it be a balanced budget, or it will be again as continuity of the past budgets? It will be a deficit budget?
It cannot be a balanced budget. It would be a deficit budget. Much needs on the behavior of provinces as well. Provinces have to actually start spending on health and education and nutrition and food security and water and irrigation, all the social sector. Basically, it's the provincial domain. Federal government, when it provides the provinces through its from its federal divisible pool, then federal government's focus only is to pay debts and, of course, to secure our borders and to secure the within our boundaries and some vertical programs. So the role of provinces would be quite key here, and one has to see that how good provinces will be in spending their share and their resources on social sector program.
So we are gradually moving to the last portion of program. Common man always thinks that the mighty and the rich in Pakistan, the wealthy, the extra rich people, they do not pay tax as per their wealth volume is. Why it is so? You always talk, economic managers always talk that tax would be broadened, its scope would be broadened. But they always skip these extra rich, extra wealthy people. So even if they do pay the tax, but that is not as per their economic and as per their income level.
It's not only extra rich and extra wealthy people. It's also the many of the service providers, apart from the salaried class and some banks and insurance companies. all the doctors that we consult, all the surgeons and all the dentists and all the vets
They
and
make
all
huge
the
income, exactly.
so all the beauticians and dermatologists and whatnot, all the service providers, they are charging hefty amounts and they don't give you any receipts.
Exactly.
All the posh restaurant and the five-star hotels in Islamabad, you go for dine out, you pay them the GST, they don't give you the
Exact
FBR,
receipt
PUS
are recorded, exactly.
receipts. You go to all the retailers, they are not extra wealthy, but they don't give you the taxes. So I think this whole culture needs to be challenged and turned around. Of course, all of them and many of those taxable, and in especially in case of the tax agent, the tax collector, the third party tax collector, which collect tax from you and I, but the FBR is then not able to get this collected money from them. I think all of this culture needs to be changed, and this is one of the thorn issue that IMF has been raising again and again with the FBR. Broader reforms and the improved capacity and capability and political will to collect what has already been collected from the consumers.
Lastly, Armed Forces of Pakistan gave a befitting response. As far as defense is concerned, alhamdulillah, there is no doubt that in case of any future eventuality, Pakistan can give a similar, harder response to India. But on economic front, lastly, what is way forward to achieve economic stability?
I think first thing is to continue implementing what has been committed with the IMF. It's not about the loan money, even $1 loan. It is about the credit worthiness. We should remember that in 21-22, when IMF suspended the program, even our iron friends like China and Saudi Arabia, even they had asked the government to first go to IMF and only then they will be able to roll over. So, in order to prove our worthiness, we have to implement whatever we have committed with the IMF. That is first, and then second is that now, while we are getting some cushion on macroeconomic stability, we need to think of providing opportunities for job creation and providing opportunities for social sector spending through provinces. Federal government can't do social sector development in the provinces will have to accept this responsibility and they will have to spend on it. And third, the future lies with this machine learning. The future lies with artificial intelligence. The future lies with digital technologies, the crypto council, and many other things that Pakistan has been doing. We need to spend in our demography the youth who are capable of contributing and actually making profit with the help of using some of these technologies. This is an untapped arena, and we should actually promote it by investing in 5G. Pakistan is one of the only countries, only Pakistan and Afghanistan, where 5G is not unfolded. Even Nepal, which had 3G and 4G much later after Pakistan, is now actually providing services, digital services through 5G. We need to bring 5G here, and we need to actually trust in Pakistan's youth. We saw that there was a time when Twitter and X services, those were actually sort of suspended, and then those services were reinstated, and we saw that how befitting response our youth and Pakistani nation gave to the Indian fake news and Indian digital warfare. So we need to trust in our people and trust in their capabilities, so that especially the youngsters, they can not only earn for themselves, but they can also bring this hard-earned remittances and foreign exchange revenue through providing digital services to the rest of the world.
Thank you so much. What we got in your conversation, that credit working must be very good, and the state must trust its people, particularly the youth that you talked about. And with this, we hope that Pakistan will be able to achieve some of the targeted economic milestones. Thank you so much. Despite your very busy schedule, you participated in our program and enlightened our international viewers about Pakistan's latest economic outlook. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.